The following video is going to take us through how to add a couple documents that didn't necessarily print out with the initial document set. This is specifically going to be around a couple forms that have to do with VA loans, the VA Federal Collection Policy and the VA Rate Reduction Certificate for IRRRLs. They might not necessarily print out with the initial document sent, and a lot of times we have to send those out to the customer separately or just prepare them right after the fact that we draw those initial documents and just add them to the file. And here's how you go about doing that. First thing that you need to do is make sure that when you go, you want to make sure the VA loan summary is filled out in order to have it completed. So in this example, if we go to the VA loan summary down in the forms section, we scroll down, we're going to hit this bottom section. These 4 questions have to be filled out for an IRRRL. The loan number that we're paying off, which would be maybe off the credit report or just a default loan number if we don't know it up front. The original loan amount we're paying off, the original interest rate that we're paying off, and the original loan term that we're paying off. The other thing that we need to make sure is correct is that the correct funding fee is in there. If you're drawing the doc set, you should have already double checked to make sure that the funding fee is in there. But just to be certain, you just click the little option there on page 2, right here for mortgage insurance. Go up here, and this is an IRRRL, so you can see we have our 0.5% funding fee in there. And now we can go ahead and prepare these additional documents. So just hit OK. So in order to do that, I'm just going to go to the E folder and select the E folder option. That opens up the E folder, and I'm going to hit E-Disclosures, which is essentially the same thing that I'm going to do when printing out a brand new document set. Now, on this option, you'll see this is a fixed rate conventional loan, just because it's a test application. You should have a VA standard loan listed here for the IRRRL or the standard VA loan to add the VA documents. And then just go ahead and hit Order Disclosures. It's going to ask you here if you want to send out all the available disclosures again. You do want to select Yes there. The reason being is the system's going to prepare all of the disclosures as if it was an initial document set. We can then uncheck the boxes and not send or prepare all of the documents a second time, and we can only select the documents that we actually need to have prepared. So we're going to be able to have that option once that print menu does pull up, and you'll see how we actually just deselect all of the forms and then just add the specific forms that we need to have prepared that we're missing in the initial document package. So here's the menu that just like I said, all of the options are checked for these to all be prepared and printed. But we check this document title option right here, which then deselects all of them. As you can see, this is a conventional doc set. So when we scroll to the bottom, there's no VA forms or anything specific in there for VA. So we're going to go ahead and add those. So we're just going to go up here to the top to add additional documents. And it pulls up the document list for all the different forms. We're going to scroll down here to the bottom to all the VA specific forms, and there's 2 that we want to make sure we add. The first one is going to be the VA Federal Collection Policy. So we're just going to hit the Add button, and then it just pops up a little window that just says that form has now been added to the list. We just go ahead and hit OK. If you go to the very bottom of the list, there's that VA form right there. We then now need to add the VA Rate Reduction Certificate. So if we scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll now see the VA Rate Reduction Worksheet listed here. And we're just going to get Add again. That then tells you that form has been added to the list. And both of those forms are now at the bottom of the list with check boxes. So we're going to preview those 2. Those are the only 2 that are selected. So those are the only 2 that should show up in the preview. As we scroll down, you'll see the first one, Department of VA Federal Collection Policy Notice. Perfect. And we'll scroll down, and now we see the Interest Rate Reduction Refinancing Worksheet that needs to be prepared for IRRRLs, and that's been prepared then as well. So both of those forms are in there, so we're going to go ahead and hit Close. And then we can print the forms. So we're going to hit Print Selected Documents. That's just going to print those 2 that we have checked. It's going to eliminate the rest of them from actually being prepared. And then we can either just print them to a printer, or like I typically do, I'm going to select my PDF program and hit Print to PDF. That's going to allow me to then just to save the forms, print them out at a later time, whatever it is that I would need to do. So I'm just going to hit Close. I don't need to print them a second time. And then once I do hit the Close option, it's going to pull up the E folder. And what you're going to notice now in the E folder, if we scroll all the way to the bottom, is both forms are now added to the E folder for placeholders. That way when we have them signed and back, we can put them directly in the E folder in their correct position. I can go ahead and close the E folder, and now you'll see on here that I do have number of disclosures prepared 2, It wasn't a GFE or a TIL or safe harbor or anything to those effects, and it is included in the timeline right now. I do want to just exclude that from the timeline, so you'll see that change from a yes to a no. Because these aren't necessarily redisclosures, they're just documents that need to be printed and signed. They don't necessarily need to be included in the timeline. I'm just going to double click on that list, and under comments here, I need to type in the reason that I had these forms printed. So I'm just going to put prepared these two forms due to not being included in the initial document set. So now I've got a comment in there just explaining why I had these forms printed, and I'll go ahead and hit close. So now I've got the forms printed. They're correct, they're accurate. I can send them to the borrower or send them with my initial disclosure package so that I can get those things back and into the file for processing and underwriting. If you have any questions, please let myself know, Brandon Lee, Brian Zemer, and hopefully this allows you to maybe get a little bit of this stuff done without having to send the request to Brandon to prepare. You can just create them and send them out when needed. If you have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, have a great rest of the day.